Over this way.
Hey, yay! It's finally here.
I only have a black screen on mine, so like let me know if we're both in it or
Yeah,
what.
I'm literally, so this is my ghetto setup. I have two mover boxes and I'm like, I've put them together and I'm outside. So it's very ghetto. It's fine.
Absolutely. There's like a large rock holding mine up. So
It's all good. How are you
yeah.
guys?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah. Not bad. You've got me up like pretty early for me, so I must be doing well.
Well, you are for sure. It's 2 o'clock here and it's beautiful. It's sunny. It's like 30 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
I guess summer has started.
It has. Surprise, you don't actually have spring anymore, so.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Oh, you're gonna grab a water?
Yeah. Sorry.
I just said surprise, you don't actually get spring. You go right to summer. It's all good.
That's how it happens.
No. Michael, just grab some water. Here, do you want my water bottle? Okay. How are you doing, Erin?
I'm good. I am getting ready to launch a very special surprise. So I have been working on that. I will be doing some pre-launch promotion starting tomorrow. So very exciting, and you guys will also be involved in it. So it's very cool.
Yes, we can't wait.
Ah.
That'll be awesome.
That's
Well, it's been pouring rain here, so it'll be something to look forward to, that's for sure.
Well, always glad to bring things to look forward to. So,
All right, here we go. Do you want me to move over? That's probably easiest. All right, again, black screen. I can see you. I just can't see us.
oh,
So just let me know if it gets weird.
oh, there we go. There's
Is it?
It's the rocks problem now.
Oh,
I love this.
oh my God.
Right?
I did it. I'm backing up.
Okay, there?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah,
Cool.
good. So yeah, we'll get started here. So thank you very much. You Are Collective is here. We have Rebecca and Michael, who are a lovely, lovely couple that I have entwined myself with on this project, and I wanted to share their story as a couple dealing with mental illness. So why don't you guys tell us a bit about your story and how You Are Collective kind of came about?
Yeah, sure. So we moved to Kelowna about a year into our relationship from Edmonton. We just weren't happy with what was our lives in Edmonton, basically, and so we'd had a lot of fun here and moved up, and here we are. So it was all kind of fun and games until we realized that, yeah, Kelowna is actually not a vacation place for us anymore. It's somewhere we need to be working and living, and I was just kind of hitting a real plateau again in my life, and I just wasn't getting out of bed. I had like my dream job by all intents and purposes. Again, we're in Kelowna. I'm with someone I love. We have a roof over our heads, like food to feed ourselves, and I'm still like struggling to get out of bed. So I actually went to a walk-in clinic, like a Medi Center type thing, of all places, because again, we had just moved here. I didn't know any of the resources or anything like that, and I was so lucky that I got an extremely compassionate and empathetic doctor that actually did know some resources and guided me in the right direction, and I was able to get subsidized counseling sessions. And yeah, so my piece of the journey was actually very optimistic. I got, the help I needed. I went to the places that I thought would work, and they did. So I was really lucky. But once I was coming out of all this, I really wanted to share my story, obviously, and more I was hearing that what happened to me was not what was happening to the majority of other people going through mental health and illness struggles. So we just started talking about it, Michael and I, and we were like, there's got to be a way that we can insert ourselves in here and start to make some real change. And so we started with apparel, and we launched our first collection in 2018. And that was just fully inspired by businesses like Tom Shoes, Ten Tree. They're passionate about something, but they're also making it, their whole life. So yeah, that's kind of where it started. And we've been being advocates and hosting community events along the way. So we're just evolving, and however we can continue to be part of this mental health community, we absolutely will.
Amazing. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is having that passion behind a project that you're working on in order to really make it go. And I think that seeing what you guys have done already is quite amazing. So congrats on that. So how do you guys support each other's mental health, especially even doing through this quarantine? Because I'm sure I've heard horror stories of couples, and it's difficult.
Yeah, it
Yeah, we
is.
take a lot of steps. I think that in the background, we're not necessarily showing. Um, First and foremost would be that we just do our gratefuls every day, and like even that I personally know that in her communication, after talking about it, she would love to know and love to be asked, how are you doing today? And just listen. Yeah, so that for me, I set a reminder on my phone, 10:11 every night. And that's my
Oh, that's so good.
remind myself to go to Rebecca. And I've even caught myself now even asking prior to the time, right? And that's what, it's the simple steps. It's the simple
Check-ins.
first, the first check-in. Like you would never think that your partner sitting right across from you, you've spent 5 years with, would be thinking the thoughts that she's thinking currently, or I'm thinking the ones that I'm currently thinking. And when you just sit there and you see your partner struggle, you're just wondering what to ask the entire time. And you're wondering, how can I help and how can I support it? But literally all they want in that moment is to literally get that exact thought off their head. And that's the only thing they want to dissipate, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's such a good answer. It's a lot of little things that I think we've just kind of added to our toolbox along the way. Like COVID has for sure been tricky, like even though, yes, we live and work together, so we are pretty much with each other 24/7 as it is. It's still very different because we don't have the opportunity to leave when we need to leave or whatever, right? So I think, yeah, those simple check-ins, especially during this, makes all of the difference, because you can start to get super like passive aggressive and just in your own head and in your own thoughts, especially during all of this. So I think honestly that little, how are you doing? And it's not pointed, like he's not trying to come at me. It's not defensive in any way. I appreciate it a lot. So yeah, I would say the little things like that start to add up.
That's very loving and supportive. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Each have your own self-love routines that you do?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So we actually created our own worksheet a few months ago called the How to Care For worksheet. and it's up on our fridge, and it basically walks through um, different things. And initially it was to feel supported by your partner, but I've actually found that this is a great tool for me because I can look at it and be like, oh yeah, here are the numbers that I could call if I needed to, or here are my support systems. And one of the things is like, how can you support me? And those are all things that I can keep doing for myself. So I reach out as much as I can to my family and friends. That's really tricky for me because I love to isolate. So that's one of those things that really is self-care for me because I'm taking a pretty big effort to do so. And I am a big outdoors person. So as much as I've been able to be on the patio or take the dog for a walk, yeah, we definitely have to split our time. Do you have some self-care,
Take
self-love?
baths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yes, those are great, I have to say. Do you like use like bath salts and those bath bombs, or is
Not usually, no. It's just kind of to,
It depends if I got them or not.
yeah. If I'm having like really, really, really bad panic attacks, the only thing I find that really kind of calms me is heat. I don't know why, but like the heat of
Makes
a
sense.
bath kind of just brings it down so I can think and refocus, I think.
It's good to be aware of those things, right? They don't work for everyone.
No.
So,
yeah? So, Michael, what is your story, if you're willing to share?
Yeah, before I get rid of this.
as the dog
Yeah,
comes up,
you want to know her story? Yeah, Dad. And Lucy wants to know it too, yeah.
she knew exactly.
Um, for myself, I've lived with mental illness my entire life. I don't remember a day that I didn't have it, really.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, just this past couple of years have really taken a toll on me, and it's been like, you have to deal with this, or else you're not going to own it. I've been in the hospital 3 times so far in the past year and a half, I want to say. One was with the concussion after suffering an anxiety attack. After that was more anxiety attacks again, I think, and suicidal ideology. And after that, same thing, just panic attacks keeps, like, I get really bad somatic panic attacks. So I'll shake, I'll vibrate, and it'll be uncontrolled. And it'll be uncontrolled for an hour up to 6. And in that moment, it's just scary, right? So I just keep living, keep going. But it's, yeah, it's definitely whoever is feeling it and whoever, like, I'm there for them because I know what they're going through. Um, Being 30 years old and like Rebecca just left to go pick up a piece of patio furniture, and I literally just went into a panic attack and I couldn't control it, and I literally thought I was 30 years old having a heart attack. So it was a bit of a panic, I want to say.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever feel that anxious to a point where it would cause me legit problems, like legit stroke or legit heart attack, and I've never really experienced that and understood it until now. And I'm back on medication. I'm back on sleeping medication, which um, it's an antipsychotic. It's, what is it?
Seroquel?
Seroquel. But it definitely has, I think a lot of my stuff is happening in my dreams, and a lot of my panic is happening in my dreams. And as soon as I wake up, it's just full shakes. So it's
Wow.
good to be able to harness it a little with the medication,
Yeah.
which
That's
helps.
that your anxiety is actually stemming from dreams because you normally, well, not normally, but from what I've heard about anxiety and anxiety attacks and panic attacks, I just assume that they're in a situation that you're in at that very moment. But in terms with your panic attacks, it's actually coming, like stemming from your subconscious,
Yeah.
which is quite interesting.
Yeah, so there's actually a name for them. They're called nocturnal panic attacks. Yeah, because people have them while they're sleeping, which is horrible.
Yeah, I like it. She says I do weird moans in the night sometimes and weird, like,
Honestly, sometimes it sounds like he's getting
murdered.
killed. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, it's weird. I've been usually I've been a big dreamer my entire life, and I've usually been able to like remember dreams lots. I'm a very vivid dreamer, but yeah, ever since my mental health took a toll, that has dissipated and it's gone. Like it's just a black night to wake up an anxiety attack now. So it's yeah, we'll get there though.
Yeah. You have a very loving and supportive partner
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
to have. Because I think there's a lot of people that that don't have someone, that are maybe living alone in a condo, or don't necessarily have that support. So I think that it's really great that you have someone. And, if you are someone living alone, reach out to someone. Or if, a panic attack, call your doctor, or 911 if you are. What is the process that you guys go through in terms of when that actually happens?
Yeah, so that kind of I guess changed for me recently. Rebecca literally was the first person to call 911 for me twice. And then the last time was me myself calling. Um, yeah, I truthfully, if you're not in control, um, which I felt I was not in control, I think that's any opportunity to call 911.
Don't ever hesitate
Yeah,
if you
No.
think it's an emergency. Don't ever. They will never be mad at you if you think
and
that something is an emergency.
like my experience through that all, like it sucked. It absolutely sucked. Like I was still suffering a panic attack walking up the stairs as the ambulance was upstairs, and it never turned around backstairs. So I'm like, where are they? And like you're just in that panic, and you're like, please help me, please fix me, please fix me. And I just had to sit in that for like another 3 hours in the hospital, roughly. And before receiving any antipsychotic medication whatsoever, Ativan or anything. Like the entire time I was there, I was just like, please, just give me a 1 milligram, give me a half a milligram of Ativan, give me something that's gonna let me focus. Um, but I guess with policy and regulation and everything like that, it makes those approaches a lot more difficult in our healthcare. Um, the entire time I was in there, it was kind of, do you have COVID? That was the only thing they cared,
Yeah.
right? And I get it. I understand the necessity of it. But like you have, when I was just there's probably 6 or 8 of us patients maybe in the one section, and then they had 2 head doctors and like 4 nurses. So like there's literally a person for every person,
Yeah.
but none of these people are doing anything but paperwork at the desk. That's all it is diagnose, is it COVID? Diagnose, is it COVID? Diagnose, is it COVID? That's all it is. Um, and like I could recall on like both hands how many times she asked me, like, do you have diarrhea? Do you have vomiting? I'm like, yeah, I have anxiety every morning. I have a diarrhea and anxiety, like, but like,
This is not
and
new.
nausea, this is not new. Like,
So do
do
you
not
think
help me.
enough well, um, enough mental health support in the hospitals aside from the nurses and the doctors? Do you think, because I was talking to a nurse actually from Alberta in one of my sessions a week or two ago, and she thought that it might be a good idea for the healthcare systems or within the hospital that there's designated mental health practitioners that deal
Yeah.
with the mental health of the patients. And especially if someone's coming in with a panic attack or whatnot. Um, I just don't know what the protocol is in the hospitals right now for mental health. If there's like specific people for for that, or is it more so here's a nurse, here's a doctor, take what you can get, and it's not really something, especially now because, like you said, the focus has been COVID. When there, I mean, yes, COVID is awful, awful,
Mhm.
awful. But there are other things that are very important, including people that are, having panic attacks and dealing with their mental health.
Yeah.
That it's kind of getting overlooked by COVID.
Yeah. I do. I went to the national conference for CMHA in 2018 or 19,
19.
19, and I took away a lot from there. Um, the best thing I want to say I took away from there is Newfoundland. They're putting peer support in their hospitals, just as you like said. So
Uh,
legit, I think they're doing trials and stuff, um, kind of to, yeah, just see if it works.
But right
But
now, there's no guidelines around that. It's very different from province to province, from
yeah,
hospital to hospital. Like even having the status of a psychiatric nurse in, say, Manitoba, like you take extra courses for that. That's what you are. You work with psychiatrists, you work in usually a mental health unit. But here, you could be a psychiatric nurse one day and, a triage nurse the other day or whatever it is. And so, yeah, it's varying. And actually, when you mentioned that, it just made me realize even more the gap that, um, yes, there's no mental health support for the people coming in for actual mental health issues and challenges, but there's also limited mental health support for people who are in there with like terminal illness or, coming in with a traumatic or something event. And yeah, we're just completely missing a very big component in our healthcare system, I think, personally.
yeah, that's one of the things that I was talking to Christina, the nurse from Alberta, that she was taking on like the patients uh, as a family member, like giving support that way, and she was dealing with her own mental health kind of issues in terms of like dealing with COVID and having like anxiety over that. And I just think that there needs to be a person that kind of deals or gives support to people that are suffering, coming in with mental health issues, or patients that, like you said, with severe illnesses, because that is probably not good for your well-being. Being in the hospital, not having anyone around you to comfort you or provide coping strategies or just something, because
Hmm.
it's probably making it worse for them.
Totally. Yeah, and there's been times where I've been in the emergency room, like say they took Michael in and I had to wait or whatnot, probably two or three times that I've been in like a pretty full emergency room and there's someone having like a full on hyperventilating, bawling,
Mm.
and no, like obviously I ran to them, but like no, the nurse practitioners aren't doing like anything, and I understand they can't really, but like there's got to be a better place that we can sit and support these people instead of the bustling emergency room for everyone to watch her have a mental breakdown. Like that's not okay.
And I believe that mental health is health. So
Mhm.
there has to be that thought that they're joint together.
Yeah.
So you are having an anxiety attack, or, you have some sort of other illness, that it's all connected within the brain and the body. So, I mean, there should be support for all parts of health, which includes mental health.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we all
let's
right.
do it.
I will make a request to Trudeau over here.
Yes, could you? Jeez.
Um, so explain a little bit, or give a little bit of insight into your business partnership and how that works and how you guys manage that.
Yeah, it's challenging. But I think that we both have like some pretty clear strengths. So we play to those a lot. Like I went to school for communications, so that's pretty much my aspect of the business. Michael did like a lot of admin and stuff while he was growing up and working for his brother's business. So he'll handle a lot of that and more of the creative stuff because I feel like I have no creative bone in my body. Um, but honestly, I don't know how solopreneurs do it. I don't know how you do it. Like, I'm just thinking of all the things that I want to, try and get done and whatever. And I'm so lucky to have a partner who I can just bounce something off right away. But one thing that we do really have to watch and be careful about is that because we are so like enmeshed with work and life, we can't bring our maybe life challenges into what we're doing at work.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time we'll do the like fictitious, I've got my work hat on. Can we have this work conversation? And I think we're pretty good about understanding each other, yeah, as coworkers then that way and not trying to push buttons or boundaries. But what about you? What do you think? I got it. Yeah. It's it's okay. You're doing great. Yeah,
It's
I think we just have to lean on each other as much as we can, and we're both open to that, which is great.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I think, because you are working and living together, it is about creating those boundaries.
Mhm.
I know for myself, I'm not currently with anyone or working with anyone, but that would be something that I would need to have, because you could just go crazy just being with that person all the time. And if there's any conflicts within your working situation, it could just like blow up. So
Yeah.
really, you guys have this relationship where you can actually take the hat, like the work hat off, and then put the "let's date night, honey" hat on. And that's really, really cool, especially because you guys are living together.
Thank you. Yeah, I think actually something that's been really helpful too is, I mean, the sector that we are obviously working in, mental health, is pretty heavy, but we've had the opportunity to do a lot of like courses and training together, which I actually think, like, to obviously learn about like proper language and working with mental health and stuff like that. But I think that it's really helped our relationship like tenfold, because we've really learned how to actively listen to one another and, employ those tools. So it's been kind of a win-win in that way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any things that you like doing together that bring you guys joy during this quarantine time?
I like going for walks with our dog. We also started, and this is like totally shameless, but we started watching all the Marvel movies from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we, anytime we get the chance, we'll do like a movie night, put the phones away, put the date night hat on,
Yeah.
and yeah. What else? What have we've been eating a lot.
Outside on the patio, I think a lot.
Yeah. It's been nice because, yeah, when we go outside on the patio, like there's no TV to distract us, and we quite frankly just sit and talk all day, and it's so beautiful. So we're super lucky for that. We,
So,
we enjoy each other's company, I think, more than anything. So we could be doing like,
Nothing.
yeah, and still enjoy it, which I'm very lucky.
you are lucky. Where can I find one?
I found him online.
Amazing. So, where can you find him online?
Yes, I on Tinder
Oh,
almost 5 years ago. Yeah. Uh, I came home from a trip to Asia and I had like 2 or 3 months before I went back to school and I was bored. So
that's how it happens, right?
and then it was like, oh, I love you. So yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we're gonna be together now. And he agreed. So yeah.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
so, what would you guys say if you were to pick? It might be hard to pick one thing that you think that makes your relationship so successful. What would you say?
You saved my life.
Oh.
That's
Uh, yeah, February 21st, if she wasn't here, I probably would be dead. Um, yeah, suffering that concussion, I probably would have bled out in the shower if she wasn't there. So she was the one that dragged me out of the shower full of blood and called 911 for me and saved my life. So,
Love you. I would say, yeah, just being like, we're very open with one another, no judgment. Um, I just think, we're both still very young, but we've been through our shit. Um, and we don't want to hide that. We don't want to suppress that because that's what's creating all that anxiety and trauma in the first place. Yeah, so I think we are just like wildly open with one another and um, like you hold each other accountable that way. You can be more honest and loving that way. He can support me a million times better if he knows what I'm going through, and vice versa. And I mean, we have a lot to learn, of course, in all of those areas, but I think, yeah, that's what really sets us apart. Sometimes, like, I hear or see other people's relationships and, like, no judgment at all. I don't think they quite understand, like, really how open Michael and I are.
yeah,
Like,
I tell her things I wouldn't tell my counselor,
yeah,
if that sounds messed up. Um,
that's amazing. And I think communication is key, and people don't get it. And if you keep things, it's just going to make things worse for yourself, not only yourself but your partner. Um,
yeah,
yeah, communication is everything, and I think it's
yeah.
that you do feel that you can share that intimate part of yourself that you wouldn't share with anyone else. Like that is very rare.
So I'll just share like a little one, even just to put that on an example. Um, I have social anxiety, well, social anxiety, a lot of anxieties, but separation anxiety is big for me with my parents. Um, that was definitely, I went through a lot of trauma as a kid, and that kind of took a real toll not having my mom or dad there through it. They always wanted to be there. There's no doubt in my mind, they were always there for me, always. Um, but there is times as a child that you'll never understand that that effect will lead you at 29.
Yeah.
And that separation anxiety about my mother, like if I never ever discussed that, I would never ever have been able to have that discussion with Rebecca, and then I never ever would have been able to have that discussion with my own mom.
Yeah.
And what that allowed me, and I feel like our relationship is on a whole new level now. And that's like we had a perfect relationship before. I feel like we're a mom and son. We fight, right? We're just two peas in a pod, right? But it's I don't know how to explain it. Like I just think that opening that conversation with Rebecca allowed me to open that conversation successfully with someone else.
Yeah. I completely.
That building that trust and allowing that level to open allows me to Yeah, just step in that direction instead of running from it.
Oh, that's cool to hear. Thanks.
Yeah, very cool. I think it's really interesting how even though you had have a great relationship with your mom, and I kind of had like a similar situation because I get along with my family as well, but there can be like one incident that happens that kind of like is your perception of it, that
Yeah,
kind of make up this story in your head that kind of blows it out of proportion, and therefore gives you anxiety, and that changes your belief system and blah blah blah, like all of this kind of craziness that you do to yourself. um yeah, and if you're able to talk about it and really share these inner feelings, because there's really, everyone has a thing. I'm going to say a thing, an event, yeah, an experience that happens to them that changes them, whether it's big, small, or whatever. But if you're able to talk about it, that stuff is going to fester, and it's going to really just kind of take over your life, which, you know, I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but I get what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a whole new topic. Childhood trauma is just a whole new topic. Yeah, there's a lot of research going into that right now. From what I'm seeing in the background and development of what our mental healths are going to become, I feel.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a lot of integration technology coming in. There's a lot of like, I don't know, it's hard to explain where it's going to look in 2 to 3 years, but I think we're in a good spot,
Yeah.
which is kind of a happy note. So,
Yeah. What what advice would you give someone who is suffering right now from anxiety or panic attacks, uh, and feeling locked in by the pandemic?
yeah, everyone will always say you're not alone, but
And it's true. There are people.
yeah, you're not alone because everyone is feeling it.
Yeah.
But uh, yeah, it's a tough one because everyone always asks that question, and I never know what to answer because,
It's different for everyone.
yeah,
What would you have wanted differently? Or was there something good that?
I wouldn't.
No? All is well.
Yeah, um, I've learned acceptance over
Mm.
the past 2 weeks. I feel, and that's really helped me because my panic attacks will literally fight themselves to have a panic attack, and I'm like, thanks. Like, why am I panicking about having a panic attack? But it's, I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. I just, we're meant to feel things. Um,
Yep.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Yeah. I think that's
Sounds, it sounds really effed up, but like, oh,
it.
you're having lots of somatic anxiety. You should really experience that. You should really know. But like, it's,
It sucks, but it's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, every day I'm suffering another panic attack. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna have to suffer that in 60 years. Sweet.
Yeah, if you're in the middle of a panic attack, obviously it's hard to do. But I think reaching out to people
Yeah.
is huge, and even just to know that they are going through the same thing, or for them to say to you, I'm here for you, like that, I think makes a huge difference. And if there's, we have a blog up with a few different tools that really help ground you, which I find really helpful if you can get into that mode shortly after or as a panic attack is brewing. And just like simply writing down maybe a couple numbers that you can reach out to when you're going through that, or if there is a simple little exercise, and put it on your fridge. Like don't be afraid to make those things known and
Yeah.
make that a thing that you're looking at. That's a great habit to have, knowing a grounding exercise and your like go-to phone numbers. To me, that's very supportive. It's not triggering to me, but if it is to you, obviously there's different ways of doing that. But I think the actually writing it down and having it somewhere visible, not just on your phone, makes a really, really big difference.
Yeah.
So that would be my little piece.
Oh, that's great advice. And I truly believe that people who, you know, suffer from anxiety, they feel their feelings, and we are beings that, you know, have big feelings, and we have, you know, we're very intuitive, and I think that we should, as you said, it's very hard to do, but kind of embrace that and accept it. Um, go, as you said, it's not going to be easy.
Mhm.
I'm what I was going to say, but
That's okay.
make sure that don't worry, you're not weak if you reach out to someone and you let them know that you're suffering. Like this, it's it is what it is. Mental health is important, so make sure that your loved ones and people that you trust know.
Yeah, the more you avoid it, the more it's gonna
Yeah,
take a toll on you. I can tell you that.
And
Personally,
fester, like you said, Erin, right?
it's going to and like what I think what people aren't understanding is how it works. We could be 5 years down the road, and I could be all fine and dandy. But the fact is out of nowhere, I could have one triggering PTSD moment that could take me back to where I am right
yeah,
now, and all that work for absolutely nothing. Um, well, not for nothing because you're passionate for 5 years, but like I think what people aren't understand, some people are not understanding is that there's no control,
yeah.
Definitely.
and right now there's no control. Um, I think that's what we're all feeling is lack of control of ourselves. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know where to go from there. But
that's all right.
Don't worry, I just did that myself, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Here's the oh gosh. But yeah, I think also with you know, mental health and the pandemic and the uncertainty of, you know, what's going on, it's kind of it's really thrown, at least for myself, for a loop in terms of not being able to feel in control of, you know, what's going on in the world, and, you know, having key people that I can go to that'll say, yeah, this is happening, this is right, whatever, blah blah blah. But no one knows, like not even, you know, the medical doctors that are, you know, researching this virus.
yeah,
So, yeah, it's an interesting time.
Mhm.
if you want to know, one of the best childhood trauma specialists I've yet to see is Gabor Mate.
Okay,
Um,
guys, to send me an email about this just because
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the spelling, but yeah,
Gabor, Gabor Mate.
Yeah.
But he's a very different man. I wouldn't say that. He takes a different approach to what our system currently has, and he's been doing that for 20 years secretly, I guess. But he does a lot of psychedelic integration. He does a lot of just trauma work in general, and
yeah,
I think the biggest, like he knows the truth on that. If you look at the top psychologists in the world, Jordan Peterson, Gabor Mate, all these huge people that have been doing this for 20 plus years have
yeah,
been literally the stem of everything is from addiction and like our mental health. That's it. Like
Yeah.
it's we just have failed to take care of ourselves.
yeah.
In a
And then
way.
they like swept it under the rug in all ways.
Yeah.
Oh, it's yeah, it's crazy. So, what do you think? Have about the whole psychedelics. Um, I've heard that it's been quite successful in certain like testings.
You know what? I will be blunt and honest about it. I've tried them. I've tried psychedelic mushrooms. I've tried it for to cure my anxiety and depression. Um, they're not for everyone. I can
Mm,
tell you that right from the bottom of my heart, they're not for everyone, and I don't think they're for me. Um, I did this out of self-diagnosing. I did this out of uh,
Desperation.
desperation
mm,
to fast track my mental health, and it definitely fast tracked my mental health. But with that, I definitely had to soak in like a lot more than I wanted to,
right,
and that alone, I feel, can throw someone in psychosis.
right, right.
And that's the danger with these is if it's done medically and if it's done professionally and if it's done under supervision, I have 135% faith in this. But yeah, it's the abuse, it's the neglect, it's the
Misinformation,
yeah.
misunderstanding.
I think the hardest part going into it is going to be for Health Canada and our governments and our regulations to accept, first of all, psychedelics.
Yeah,
Second of all, would be the regulations surrounding it. And third is going to be who's administering it and how and why, because these are model drugs. And when I say they're model drugs, they go into your patterns, they find them, they reverse them, or they make a new pattern.
mm,
And what that's doing in our mind is essentially re-neuralizing it to where it needs to be or where it wants to be. But in doing that, it's also inducing a lot of other stuff that would not necessarily be there. If,
right.
if I if I didn't do them, I can be blunt honest. If I didn't do them, I would not be here.
Well,
I don't think I would be here. I think on my by the time my second mushrooms are what caused the first uprising of my anxiety attacks, and that also induced with alcohol and drinking at the same time, alcohol and marijuana at the same time, made me suffer that panic attack and put me in psychosis. So it can do it. Like that's what we're not seeing is we're seeing the power of them, but we're also not seeing the pure negative effects of a general ego in our world right
mm, yeah.
now. A lot of words, but
I'm trying to keep up with you,
yeah.
but interesting thing to think about kind of psychedelic drugs possibly helping. And again, you said that it's not for everyone, so it's just yeah, I'm just interested to hear more or know more of what sort of mental research is happening with the brain and um, new medications. I just feel like mental health is not on the forefront of people's minds in terms of medical research.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet. The pandemic's not here yet, so they're not worried yet.
Yeah, it's true.
Even though it's technically happening and we're currently in a pandemic because someone dies from suicide every 30 seconds, in our conversation, probably 5 to 10 people die now.
Oh, more than that.
And that's what
Yeah,
very misunderstood is that this is an illness.
It's a
Nobody wants to
crisis.
die. And, like, yeah, nobody wants to die. This is the only spot we're going to feel. And why wouldn't we want to be here?
yeah, yeah.
Truthfully, I think psychedelics brings you in that touch.
Mm-hmm.
it makes you feel, truthfully. There's things I felt that I would never feel. And the reason why is because my conscious alone would never be able to feel that.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, it's a definitely there's a lot of new. They literally, if you want any background research, there's a company right now called Numis, and they're literally looking to put psychedelic integration clinics in Vancouver by 2021.
Wow.
So you would walk into this place, you would do a therapeutic dose of mushrooms or ketamine or LSD or whatever their preferred method is will be at that time. Um, I think they're going to probably edge into whatever's the most controlled substance. But um, yeah, I see nothing but bright future in that area. It's,
Amazing.
it's it's happening already. The minute COVID happened and we went into lockdown, regulations went in place ahead of time, and Health Canada is already implementing FDA stage 3 things for psilocybin for anxiety, and they're already putting stage 3 FDA approved shit all over the place. So it's
Well, that's good
yeah,
news.
it's making its way, but it's going to be a slow process. But it's like the cannabis boom. No one was about in Canada. No one was about cannabis 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I guess half the country's probably smoking it now.
I would say at least.
A bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Especially during this, I would say it's quite hot.
Anyway, so you know what? We have just a couple minutes left. So I wanted to ask you guys, what's next for your collective? What's coming in the works for you guys?
Build a mission.
Yeah, we've got some exciting collaborations and collections coming up. So, still working on that, and we'll always try and work with like a local or a small business across Canada so we can, yeah, help fulfill our 1 million campaign. And hopefully, once we can get into person or, in person, we can start having some more community events and taking this awareness maybe further than Kelowna. And
Hmm.
uh, yeah, we love to share, what we've been through and answer any questions we can and be that support. So we would love to just keep talking about it any way we can, and whatever that looks like, hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, the world takes its path. We're just on it.
Yeah, we literally are such bad business people because we're just like, shiny. We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this.
Might be worse.
True. So, yeah.
It's an exciting time. I mean, we are all in this together, and the good thing is we can kind of take this time and see where it goes, and use creativity to really kickstart any new ideas, and just again sharing this message. And I'm so thankful that you guys were here to share your experiences with mental health. I know that you have touched someone today. And I'm also very excited, as I said earlier in this discussion, these guys will be doing a talk at a special event that I will be revealing later this week. But yeah, so I'm very happy to collaborate with you guys, and keep doing what you're doing. There needs to be more people in the world like you.
Thank you,
So
Anne.
continue that.
Thank you. We appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for having us on. It was awesome to chat, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, we will again. Don't you worry. Thank
Good.
and,
Amazing.
I will end it on that. So we will see everyone next Tuesday for another talk. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Erin.